Well, football has now entered the month of April, and April is always a very fascinating time when it comes to the football season because that is when decisions in well results really start coming to the fore. We start getting to get a really clear picture as to who is going to be where, who's going to get trophies, who's going to get promoted, who's going to get relegated, all that sort of thing. We are starting to get closer and closer to the business end of that, and we are really pushing close to it whatsoever. So let's dive into it in terms of the matches that we had over the past week in regards to what affected the English teams, and then we'll go from there. And we started off with matches on the Friday, which was in the Championship. We had a second versus third battle between Middlesbrough and Millwall. Sorry, Millwall getting the win, had a bit of an advantage. Blackburn Rovers beating Birmingham City. That was a bit of a surprise. Blackburn have been struggling relegation wise, but fair enough. Bristol City. Roy Hodgson continues with his revolution. 2-1 over Charlton Athletic. Leicester City struggled to get a win, struggled to draw against Preston North End. Norwich City continuing their decent run against Portsmouth with a 1-1 draw. Oxford United getting a credible draw against Hull City, who have been fighting for the playoffs. QPR 2-1 win over Watford. Nothing special there in terms of any ramifications. Sheffield United getting a draw against Swansea City. Stoke City getting a win against Sheffield Wednesday once again. Pretty much everybody beat Sheffield Wednesday. West Bromwich Albion getting a draw against Wrexham. Impressive for West Bromwich Albion. And Coventry City getting a 3-2 win over Derby County, which these results are starting to get really important for Coventry City right now. Now, you might see that Southampton weren't playing on the Friday. That's because they were still in the FA Cup, and we had a absolutely incredible FA Cup day. First off, Manchester City wiping the floor with Liverpool, 4-0 victory. There's a lot to discuss in terms of Liverpool, but we'll discuss it all in context with the whole week. Go from there. Chelsea, 7-0 win over Port Vale. Port Vale are a team that was basically the lowest place. It was kind of expected they were going to get a whooping on that. What wasn't expected was Southampton getting a win against Arsenal. And Southampton were good. They are a team to be keeping an eye out for. They're on a bit of a run. They're on a bit of a roll. Could be quite fascinating, that. And then on the Sunday, finishing off the quarterfinals, Leeds United winning 4-2 on penalties. They had a 2-0 lead. West Ham then equalised right at the end, and then the penalties at the end. So, in terms of the FA Cup semi-finals, we have got Manchester City playing against Southampton, and Chelsea playing against Leeds. Huge matches going on. But that wasn't the end of it either, because on Monday we then had the Championship starting up again. There's a lot to take on board, so we will be looking at the table a little bit later on. Oxford United and Portsmouth both struggling in terms of keeping their, staying alive in the Championship. So a 2-2 draw, kind of fair results. Norwich City surprising everyone again, beating Millwall this time. Impressive stuff. Blackburn Rovers against West Bromwich Albion, 0-0 draw. Bristol City beating Sheffield United, another Roy Hodgson revolution. Derby County beating Stoke City, impressive for Derby. Ipswich Town beating Birmingham City, really impressive for Ipswich. Preston North End and QPR, draw. Again, nothing really outstanding from that in terms of the ramifications. Sheffield Wednesday managed to get a draw against Leicester City. Bit disappointing for Leicester City. Watford, Charlton Athletic, again, a draw. Incredible point for Charlton, but again, not major in terms of ramifications. Swansea City, a 2-2 draw against Middlesbrough. And then Hull City and Coventry City battling out a very exciting 0-0 draw. A little bit of a dodgy decision that was made in terms of a penalty shout for Coventry City, but yeah, it was a good match. Really, really good match. And then on Tuesday, we had the Champions League going on. Bayern Munich, a humdinger against Real Madrid, win for Bayern Munich in that first leg. So they take a 2-1 lead back home in Germany, and Arsenal getting a good 1-0 victory against Sporting Lisbon. Or Sporting, sorry, and they'll be going back to, I was about to say Highbury. I have no idea why. Go back to the Emirates with a 1-0 lead. I believe it's next week. Then on Wednesday, 2-0 victory for Atletico Madrid over Barcelona. That was a bit of a surprise. 2-0 victory for PSG over Liverpool. Less of a surprise. So before we discuss Liverpool, like I say, we'll look at the Championship matches. Actually, as well, thinking about it, we've also got the Europa League going on right as we speak in terms of the quarterfinals of the Europa League and the Conference League. I believe it was also the Europa League yesterday as well, wasn't it? Yes, Sporting Braga versus Real Betis was a 1-1 draw. So winner takes all for the next match. And then in terms of the matches that are going on as we speak, Bologna are 2-0 down to Aston Villa at Bologna. Freiburg are beating Celta Vigo. Nottingham Forest, a 1-1 draw at the moment with Porto. Rayo Vallecano have taken a 3-0 victory into going to Greece next week. Crystal Palace, a 2-0 win over Fiorentina at the moment. Mainz, 2-0 over Strasbourg at the moment. And Shakhtar Donetsk versus AZ Alkmaar, a 0-0 draw. I've got to be honest, in terms of underdog stories, I will be supporting Shakhtar Donetsk, given everything that they have gone through, all the conflicts they had to let go of players. So, really hope Shakhtar Donetsk do well in the Conference League and get a bit of a revival going. So, in terms of the tables, the Championship, this is where we currently stand. Coventry City now have a 12-point advantage over Ipswich Town. Ipswich Town do have 2 games in hand, and that is important because if they win those 2 games, it's only 6 points behind. So still a lot to play for in terms of that. But where this is important, and it's worth bearing in mind, guys, that it's 46 matches that get played in the Championship season. So most of these teams have got 5 games left. So the maximum that 3rd place and 4th place can get at the moment, it would be 87 points. Coventry City getting their win will get them to 87 points. Coventry City are right on the edge now of getting promoted. Technically, they could get promoted on Saturday, no matter what. But also, if the results go their way, if Middlesbrough and Millwall both lose or draw their next match, then Coventry City with a win will be in the Premier League next season, and we'll take a deep dive into that. So that's how it is. But the other thing we like to do is in the top 4 leagues, whichever team does get promoted first, we like to celebrate. In fact, we'll celebrate every promotion. We will reflect upon every relegation as well. Now, we didn't get the chance to reflect on Sheffield Wednesday's relegation. It was kind of confirmed from the start of the season. But the first team in the top 4 divisions that managed to get themselves promoted was Lincoln City. A team that has not been in the second tier for about 30 years. Finally getting a chance to be hitting the big time. They'll be playing against one of West Ham or Wolves or Burnley or Tottenham Hotspur or Nottingham Forest or Leeds. They could be playing one of those next season. Really, really good for them, because when it comes to the 5 games and everything like that, Bradford City, maximum points they can get is 86 points. Now, there is still the League One title to go for, who's going to be first at the end of this, and at the moment Cardiff City, with the matches they've got in hand, could get 96 points, but Lincoln City are getting closer and closer to promotion. Everywhere else it's still pretty tight. If you think about that sort of thing, the 5 games still to play, and at least all of these 4 teams mathematically could still stay up. Same in terms of teams can still get caught here, although we are now on 42 matches, so there's 4 matches left, 4 or 5 matches left, so it's a bit picture's a bit clearer, but still every team could still get promoted and relegated, and in the Championship that is still a possibility, with the exception of Sheffield Wednesday, who had all their deductions. Although even with being deducted 12 points, that would leave them with 7 points to start off with. They were just in a mess from the start. So I think Sheffield Wednesday next year will probably hope for much, much better. But yeah, everyone has still got stuff to play for. In fact, if we're taking that sort of the 5 games equals 15 points, mathematically, and that's important, mathematically, it's highly unlikely, but mathematically, Sheffield United in 17th could still reach 6th place. And in terms of automatic promotion, 72 points, so take off 15, that brings us 57 points. So that means that Watford, Bristol City, QPR could still get promoted automatically. But there is also the playoff picture as well, and the playoff picture does make things more exciting. Now, that's the fun bit. Now we're going to talk about the less fun bit. Liverpool's week. The Manchester City 4-0 loss. I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't know it was going to be that bad. That was frankly embarrassing. And all I was wanting from the PSG match was a bit of dignity. And on the result, it looks like we kind of got it. 2-0 loss to PSG at Paris is not the worst result in the world. Gonna say we lost 3-0 at Barcelona a few years ago. And knowing Liverpool's reputation in Europe, they are certainly capable of overturning it. But it was the way that Liverpool lost which was hard to take. Liverpool didn't even have a shot on target. They were dominated. They were lucky to lose 2-0. It could have been 3, 4, 5. There were so many times where, a lack of ball control could have meant that it, meant scored more. And it's really hard to explain just how disappointing that is. It's really hard to explain as a Liverpool fan why it's more disappointing to lose to PSG 2-0 in that way than necessarily to lose 4-0 to Manchester City. The best way to describe it is this. Brendan Rodgers tried a similar tactic a few years ago in 2014. It was in the group stages. We were up against Real Madrid as one of the ones in the group stages, and we lost. I think it was like 3-1, 4-1. It was a brutal loss at Anfield, and we played a away match at Real Madrid, and we lost 1-0. But it was almost like an accepting of the defeat. We accepted that we weren't going to win. I say we, the team. And the same thing happened last night. The team seemed to accept we're going to lose this. Damage limitation. Liverpool, by their very attitude and their very history, aren't a damage limitation, let's not get hurt too much. It's a case of, no, we're going to hurt the opposition. We're going to really give it a go. They think they're so good. Let's give them a hiding. 4-0 victory over Barcelona. The AC Milan situation. We have a team that is better than the Liverpool team from 2005. And we are playing against a team that is roughly the equal of the AC Milan team of 2005. We should be shocking them. I'm going, you think we have no chemistry? Let us prove you wrong. But we set up ultra defensive, accepting that we were going to lose. And let's try and take some positives from this. I mean, you can see just off the side of the screen that there isn't a positive in terms of the fact that we're going to lose Robertson at the end of the season. But let's take the positives. Isak was back on the pitch, so we have that. And this has been a weird season of missed chances, but this should have been better. This should have been so much better. I accept that Virgil van Dijk isn't at the levels that he normally is. Same with Mo Salah, right? Fair to say that, right? But this is a new low. There was nothing. Now, look, we could be sitting here in a week's time overturning this, but I don't see it happening under Slot. And it comes back to that thing that I've felt. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, but I'm just going to keep on repeating it. The same reason that Arne Slot won the title last season is exactly the same reason why we are doing so poorly this season. Jurgen Klopp's heavy metal football was exciting and fun, but probably had the opportunity for players to run out of steam, run out of energy. And Arne Slot calmed it down a little bit last season, but there was still a little bit of that heavy metal spirit, the heavy metal energy. It was just in like short, sharp bursts. But now even that's gone. And it's just this mess. It's not even organised. Like, Liverpool's attacking flair doesn't come from just putting more attackers onto the pitch. It comes from a spirit that you bring in the Liverpool players. And I'm going to say this as well, by the way. I don't think that Arne Slot is a bad coach. He's just not a Liverpool coach. Like, maybe this sounds bad, but if Arne Slot was, let's say, Chelsea manager, he'd win a trophy. He doesn't get it. And I can sort of, I'll say this as well, I can sort of understand why he doesn't get it. It's a very weird feeling in Liverpool. You have to really, really get it. The managers that we've had over the past, Jurgen Klopp has definitely got it. I'd say Rafa Benitez definitely got it. Brendan Rodgers, not really. Kenny Dalglish definitely got it. Roy Hodgson definitely didn't. Gerard Houllier definitely did. Liverpool almost need a manager who has either someone that is extremely balanced in terms of emotion and logic, or is a little bit edged towards the emotional side, the fiery side. Now, I'm not saying Ange Postecoglou would be a a better fit. But Ange Postecoglou is the sort of personality we are talking about here. Someone who is a case of, do you know what? We're just going to have fun. Because ultimately, the Liverpool fans want a bit of excitement, want a bit of fluidity. The same fluidity that we saw in the PSG team, where it was like they're all everywhere. Bit of chaos. What on earth is going on? What's going to happen next? It's sort of constant tension and excitement. Now, maybe Xabi Alonso wouldn't be the fit. But he certainly knows what's required. I think he'd have the fun and for the flair. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I am really really want to see a Xabi Alonso Steven Gerrard double act on the touchline. It's this thing of coaches are going to have this fire and ice sort of thing. The fire and the burning passion, but this Iceman, this cool persona, right? Liverpool requires more fire. Chelsea requires a bit more rice. Arsenal requires probably a bit more fire, but only just. Manchester United certainly requires a bit more ice. Manchester City definitely is in the ice category. There's actually very few clubs that probably need a manager who is emotional like nothing else. Because that is where Arne Slot has missed out. Taking aims at players and everything like that. Like, in certain clubs, what Arne Slot has done has been the right thing. But it's a bit different the way that Liverpool acts and the way that Liverpool is. Think about the players that we've had the connections with and the players that we don't. There is a reason why we don't like Trent Alexander-Arnold. There is a reason why we don't like Michael Owen. Because those guys have had a bit more ice persona. They haven't had the passion and the flair and the heart of Liverpool. Someone like Jamie Carragher, who was a very decent centre back, but certainly not like superstar. But we love him more than others. Lucas Leiva, we love more than others. Like, goodness me, going to a Legends match and seeing some of the players that we've got, right? When it's a Legends match, there is no doubt, probably in terms of skill, that Michael Owen is a better player than Peter Crouch. But Peter Crouch is our Liverpool legend because of the heart, because of the fire, because of the love that he has. Because he knows that it's special being a Liverpool player. And he shows it. There's a reason why players like Jersey Dudek stay in our hearts, because it's got more than just his great performance in the 2005 Champions League final. It's his passion that he's shown afterwards. And Arne Slot doesn't seem to have that passion. That X factor, let's say. So yeah, Arne Slot, it's been great. The trophies, the celebrations, the memories, but I feel like you're hurting yourself being here. I don't think you're really enjoying it. But anyways, we've got a lot of matches to look forward to over the weekend. We've got Premier League matches, of course we have. We've got Championship matches, of course we have. a lot to look forward to. We're going to be really, really fascinating. And then we've also got the Champions League going on next week as well, just to add a bit more spice to it. There's a lot coming on, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Let me know your thoughts on your favourite team, your thoughts on Liverpool, your thoughts on anything we've discussed in this video. And until next time, guys, like, subscribe, and take care.